What's up everybody and welcome back to the workshop. Now in today's episode I'm going to be working on and finishing the Turkish Twist Bowie. Now this is part 2 of this rematch series. Part 1 will be linked right there. Go ahead and give that a watch. It's a fun little video. It'll get you up to date on current events and flow into this video perfectly. Now where I left off in that video is getting this bad boy heat treated and tempered. So all we have to do now is do lots of grinding, put a handle on it, put a guard on it, and make it look really cool. Maybe even make a sheath. Who knows? See where the wind takes us. But right now it's sitting at about a 1/4 inch thick, and that's just too thick. So we're going to put them on a diet, hop over the grinder, and hog off lots of material, and get our edges beveled in. It's going to be lots of grinding. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining. Let's get after it. While I was grinding the tang down, I realized I made a very silly mistake. I had forgotten to drill a pinhole prior to the heat treat, so we're going to have to get rid of the heat treat on the tang so we can then drill our pinhole. Not a huge fan of doing this, but we'll wrap it up in a soaking wet towel and use a torch to get rid of that heat treat. Should be alright. We'll find out. Now that the tang has been tempered back and should be a little bit softer, I did some thinking, and I'm not going to drill the hole until I have the guard and the handle fit up. I might just drill straight through the handle as it's fit up to go through the wood, so I know it's going to be a perfect fit. Or I might drill the hole. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. That's something I'm going to wait on, though. So, with that being said, I can go ahead and get some blue dicum on this bad boy, scribe our bevel lines, get the center line scribed, so we can start knocking out this bevel. Alrighty-roo, we now have our bevels ground in this bad boy. Got it cleaned up a little bit. Now all we have to do for the blade is lots of hand sanding. But before we do that, it's time to make our guard. I'm going to attempt to make the guard out of that cross little V section that we cut out of the tip of this when we did the fish mouth weld. I really hope it works because that pattern mixed with that pattern would turn out really cool. But, you know, with the end sections of Damascus, sometimes they don't get perfectly forge welded. So we're going to go ahead and throw this in the forge and see if we can't get a guard out of it. Now unfortunately, while I was mashing it in the press, some of it opened up. You can see that line that runs up through there, and then there, right there is where I have some weld bead, so that's what's holding it together, but that's all blown open, which is no good. And then there's some right here. That is not what we want. I don't know if we'll be able to use this piece, so gonna have to figure something else out. Now, for the guard, I'll be forging out this piece of 1-inch diameter round stock to our profile. I think it'll make for a real nice guard. Get it nice and sanded, cleaned up, and polished. It'll be a really good accent piece on that multi-layer twist Damascus Bowie. The guard is cooled down and very rough forged, emphasis on rough. It's looking somewhat like I want it, but that's what we have the handy dandy grinder for. We're going to grind it down to shape and get this bad boy profiled and looking good. From the grinder, I went ahead and hopped over on the mill, as you guys saw, just to get everything squared up so I could go ahead and lay out our guard design, get it transferred on here with some blue Dykem, and I think this will really help get everything symmetrical and lined up how I would like it, instead of trying to freehand everything on the grinder. Sometimes it doesn't turn out as square as I would like, so I'm going to try this process instead, and we'll see how it goes. But we have our little design on there, so we'll go back to the grinder and grind this out. Some slight unfortunate news. I came to the realization, another reason that I squared everything off was so I could just drill straight through this for our tang hole, but that thought completely slipped my mind, and so we have it ground to profile, and it's got this little point at the top, and drilling through that would be an absolute nightmare. I do think I'll be able to mill through it. I'm a little nervous. I don't want to break any bits off in this bad boy. So that's our solution, is we're going to hop over back on the mill, and I have our little lines scribed in there. We will try and mill out the tank slot. Hopefully it works. See how it goes. Now, with the guard milled up, we have a decent fit up. Not really. But after lots of filing, it will fit perfectly. So we use our handy dandy files and get to work. We got a pretty solid fit up right there. That's awesome. Now, as you can see, we're going to have to hop over back on the mill, and I'm going to mill out a little recess area so the guard will slide a little bit higher on the knife to about where that little black dot is. So it'll sit kind of like that. So we just have to mill out a channel to fit that bad boy into. This is turning out absolutely awesome, and I'm very excited with the progress so far. So let's go to the mill and get this bad boy channel in. Unfortunately, during that milling operation, the camera battery died, so you didn't get the full thing, but essentially we milled out a little slot, as you can see, and it fits perfectly. It's a nice seamless fit all the way around. I'm super happy with that, and it looks wicked. So now we can hop over on the grinder, and I went ahead and got some lines scribed on that bad boy. We're going to grind it into a little bit of a diamond shape, clean up the edges, and get this thing finished to profile. We got the guard nice and cleaned up, rounded off the edges and all that fun stuff. It feels pretty good in the hand so far. Obviously there's no handle, but where we're sitting now it feels decent, and I really like how it's turning out. It's absolutely awesome. Now for the handle, I'm going to be using this piece of stabilized redwood. I actually got this at Blade Show in Atlanta this past June. I got it from a vendor, Rob's Wild Wood. He has all kinds of different stabilized variations of wood, exotic, non-exotic, just a bunch of stuff. Go ahead and check him out on Instagram at Rob's Wild Wood. But I think this will add a really cool touch to that really cool pattern. So we're going to go ahead and get this drilled and start working on this bad boy. Now we have our handle very rough shaped, but it fits really good in the hand, and I absolutely love it. So now we can go ahead and get our hole drilled for the pin. The hole is going to go right there through the tang. I think that's going to look really cool. Got our hole, got our pin. Fits in there like a treat. Now I did make these two little spacers. There's a black and a red spacer. I think that'll add a cool little accent, but hey, that's pretty cool. So the blade has been hand sanded to 1000 grit. I went ahead and gave it a nice bath in some dish soap and water to get everything cleaned up. And now into the acid we go. Now, while the knife is soaking in some gator piss, that's just the brand of the ferric chloride that I use. Go give them a check out. Gator piss. Works wonders. Anyway, while it's soaking in there, the process will be as follows. I'm going to take it out every 5 minutes, double check it, maybe hand sand it, do some more sanding with some 3000 grit just to make sure that it is getting a good, proper, consistent etch all the way through. I will then rewash it and put it back in the acid. and repeat that probably 3 times, 2-3 times, depending on how it's looking. So that's the process. With the last etch cycle now complete, we can take it out of here. That looks friggin' awesome. I am stoked. So we'll go ahead and get it sprayed down, get the acid neutralized. Take that out of there. Give it an old-fashioned wipe down. And now here we have our instant coffee mix. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio. So we'll put the knife in there, and we will let that sit now overnight and come back tomorrow and check on it. With the knife having a wonderful spa day and some coffee, we're going to go ahead and get our guard cleaned up. You can see it took on some rust there. We're going to get this nice and cleaned up, and then we're actually going to throw this in the coffee as well to give it a really nice dark look. I think that'll accent the blade nicely. So we're going to go over to the grinder and get this bad boy nice and clean. Now, with the knife out of the coffee, it looks absolutely fantastic. I love this pattern. It's turning out really cool. And the guard also turned out really cool. Here's that. It really gave it a nice dark look. And I think that looks pretty neat like that. Now, I did kind of jump the gun finishing up the guard as fast as I did. I still have to finish up the rest of the handle, and so it's going to get some nicks and dings. I have to clean up this transition from the guard to the handle with that spacer in there, and the guard's going to get a little scratched up and what such as I clean it up. So we'll have to re-coffee etch it, but for now we can go ahead and start cleaning up the handle. With the handle and spacer now cleaned up to the guard, pretty rough, but that's okay. We can now take our handy dandy sandpaper and go at this bad boy by hand, make it real nice. I think I'm going to take it up to about 1500, make it real shiny, make it real smooth. It'll be a nice finish. And yeah, so just going to be hand sanding. Now, the handle has been sanded up very nice. It's got a very smooth transition from handle to guard. I really like it. Now, as you can see, that shined up as I was sanding. So we're going to re-etch the guard, make that black again, get it nice and dark. I think it'll look really cool. And then we'll be able to epoxy the handle on and get that nice and finalized. Now, we have the guard out of the coffee. You can see it got a nice dark finish on it. So we can go ahead and get this bad boy glued on here and go from there. Now, with the handle finished up, everything is fitting very nicely together. It looks absolutely awesome. I am stoked with how this is turning out. It feels perfect in the hand. It's very comfortable. I'm just through the moon. So now all we have to do is make a wicked cool sheath for this bad boy and put a razor sharp edge on it. With the edge all finished, we can go ahead and test it on this paper. I'd say this bad boy's pretty sharp, and it does in fact shave. I'm stoked with how it turned out. Being able to redo this project after failing it many months ago and having it come out as cool as it did, I am through the moon. I'm so happy, and the sheath looks absolutely wicked. That is a successful knife right there. With all that, it takes us to the end of today's episode. Now, I will be posting an in-depth video on how I made the sheath with the inlay with the caiman leather. That will probably be out this coming weekend. I want to thank you guys so much for following along and joining me in this process of rematching the Turkish Twist Damascus pattern. It turned out absolutely wonderful, and I'm very excited. I did take this down to my grandparents' cabin this past weekend, and I got to use it. I posted a few videos on my TikTok, so go check those out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment on if you guys like the videos in parts, or if you'd rather a longer video that shows the whole process. Let me know what you guys think, and I'd love to hear from you. So, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.